Hi everyone, Blake Hero here, and today I'm coming at you guys with a new video. In my last video, I talked about being on the road to Suda. So all my content going forward is going to be post Suda. I actually got some of the cards in from the OCG just so I could start testing with the new cards. So I just wanted to show you guys an updated deck profile, and this is going to be the most optimized version of the list that I have been testing so far. I really like this list. It's been performing very solid against pretty much everything, and it still is able to play in the lower count that I like. This is actually a 43 card list. It's actually exactly the same number as I was playing before. I was able to figure out how to do that with the new support and keep the same number of non-engine. So I'm gonna get right into it. We're just gonna start off with the monsters, and we're gonna start off with the elemental heroes. So you're gonna see that a lot's changed now with the new evil hero cards, and I'll kind of explain why based on all of the other card choices, how they're affected by the new evil hero cards. The only thing here different than my old list is the fact that I'm now playing 2 Stratos. 3 can still be fine, but I really wanted to be able to fit the smallest count possible, as well as still fitting the same number of non-engine as I was playing before. Some of the things had to give, and Stratos being a normal summon was one of the things that was very easy to cut. So I decided to cut Stratos down to 2 because I wanted to decrease the number of normal summons in the deck. A lot of people say that 5 is the perfect number, but really if you have a card that comes out that pretty much does the same thing but without your normal summon, you really want to instead play that card and try to just keep your number of normal summons as low a count as possible. And actually I'm still playing Rhoda, so after you see some of the other choices, 2 Stratos will kind of make more sense. So this is the elemental hero lineup. This is perfect for the post evil heroes. Next I have the vision heroes. So we're playing 3 Ferris, 2 Vion, and now 1 increase. So I'm a big fan of 2 increase, I always have been, but the only thing now with the new support that came out makes it so that you can actually play 1. We got 4 more cards into the deck, makes it so that you can only play 1. We got a new spell called Evil Assault, which you'll see later, that basically lets you play without your normal summon, and even if you draw the increase, you're still able to combo. So 1 just gets a lot better. Now the only cards that make it so that if you draw the increase it doesn't work is the 3 Ferris and the 2 Stratos that you saw before. If you draw that plus increase and that's the only way you have to play, then yes, the 1 increase can still brick you. But I think it's really important to try to fit the lowest number of cards possible. Increase is one of those things you definitely can cut, because now we have so many more options of being able to play without our normal summon, without relying on Ferris resolving. Now I still want to play 3 Ferris. I've seen some OCG lists that have been playing 1, and that probably has something to do with Max C, but I think here we really want to use as many copies of Ferris as possible because it's still our best way to get to Vion without normal summoning. The new support didn't change that, and the new support is fantastic and is really going to help the deck. But one thing that didn't change is the fact that Vion's still your bottleneck, and you really need to get to Poly. You really need Vion to resolve. So the more ways to play without normal summoning, the better, and Ferris still does the same thing, but this ratio has been perfect for me. Next up, the Destiny heroes. Nothing has changed here. 3 Mali, 1 Denier, 1 Plasma. Now the only thing I'll mention here is that Plasma gets a lot better with the new support because you have the trap that can protect it. And Malicious being at 3 is extremely important for a lot of the 1 card combos with just Evil Assault. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go check out my previous combo video where I showed plenty of new combos with the Suda support, the evil hero cards, that 3 Malicious is so important. Yep, this is just the same old Destiny hero lineup and nothing really more to talk about here. It's still extremely important to play in the deck. Now, finally, what a lot of you are probably waiting for is the evil heroes. Now, I'm gonna show what monsters I'm playing first, and then we'll get to the spells when we get to the spells, like all my other deck profiles. And so this is the only cards that I have included out of the monster lineup of the new support. Now, a Dusted Gold is basically a lot like Fiendsmith Engraver. It gets you going without needing your normal summon. It can also access Cross Crusader without using your normal, which is extremely important. Prisma is kind of like your other increase, but the best part about the new Prisma retrain is the fact that if you draw him plus any hero monster, instead of increase before, this actually lets you go combo by dumping Shadow Mist and grabbing your Ferris. actually lets you do everything you were doing before except minus the Dark Law. So it's a much better brick because it actually still does something on its own by dumping for cost. And that's pretty much the main things that I have taken away from the Evil Hero cards. We'll get into more of the deck profile later, and this will make a little bit more sense. But really the way I'm using Adusted Gold and using the new Evil Hero cards is when we get stopped, we want to play without our normal summon. And when we get stopped, we're able to pivot to Cross Crusader and then use Cross Crusader to grab Vion to normal Vion, and then we can pretty much do the 1-card Vion combo from there, which can end on a couple of disruptions. You can see that combo in my previous combo video if you don't know what I'm talking about again. But that's basically what I'm doing with these cards. And basically, Adusted Gold is more extenders. I'll get into reason why I'm playing 2 gold a little bit later, but this is the Evil Hero monster ratio for now. I'll also talk about when I get to the full, when you see all of the Evil Hero support I've included into the deck, I'll begin to talk about each card and why I did not include them. But that is the Evil Hero monsters. Next up, we have the spells. This should be no surprise. 3 Hero Lives and 3 Fusion Destiny. I definitely talk about this pretty much every list of how important these cards are to the deck, and that hasn't changed with the Evil Hero cards. I see a lot of people really trying to push the deck count up, and they use a lot of statistics and math that show that the ratio of starters to non-engine is still the exact same, but they're really not weighing the quality of the starter. These are still the best cards in the deck. The new Suda support has not changed that, so I still want to keep the deck count at the same math that I was playing before, except now we have a couple more better quality extenders. So I believe it's extremely important to play a lower count list. That doesn't mean that the higher count list can't do well. I'm sure it will as well, because there are some benefits to playing the higher count list, including just having more gas. But after you see the other Evil Hero inclusions, it'll start to make a little bit more sense why I did not include that bigger package. Next up is the Evil Hero support. Next is 2 Evil Assault. So some people might be questioning, why wouldn't you just play 3 of the spell and 1 of the Adusted Gold? That's because it's really important to keep up the number of hero names in the deck, because Ferris still needs a specific discard. This card does need any discard, which is really nice, but it still is a spell and has less synergy in the deck than a hero name. So now you might be wondering, well, why aren't you playing 3 Adusted and 1 of the spell? I'll get to that when we get to the side deck. It'll make a little bit more sense and I'll explain it then. But 2 and 2, I wanted 4 copies of the card. I might even bump it up to 5 because this card's really, really powerful. And it lets you play, again, like I was saying earlier, without your normal summon, as well as if you go Ferris effect and that gets imperm or stopped in any way, Evil Assault lets you extend to put Mally in the grave and you haven't used your normal summon yet, so you can still get to cross and grab your Vion just like I was talking about before, which is really the main benefit of the new cards. So yeah, I kind of talked about this for a while. I think it's a really important concept to understand, and I'll actually be talking about it a little bit later when we get to the side deck. But 2 Evil Assault for now. And finally for the spells, we're playing the engine requirements, as well as the only consistency card I'm now playing is Rhoda. So this is all very similar to what I played before, and basically the only one that stayed was Rhoda. You could cut Rhoda for a 3rd Stratos, but I would rather that 3rd Stratos, if I draw it, to either be Vion if I need to get to it, or Stratos. Because basically, if you've already gone through the Ferris line and you've gotten stopped there, or you've gone through the Cross Crusader and you can't get access to Ferris, you really want to just have another way to just normal summon the Vion and have a 3rd copy of it. And Rhoda being able to be the 3rd copy of either Vion or Stratos is why I believe that you can play 2 and 2 copies. You could also play a 3rd Vion instead of this as well, like I was talking about in my previous deck profile. But I figured that just having the Rhoda, it can be either or, because you still need to grab Stratos off of Cross at some point in the combo if you don't have him, because you still need a non-light elemental hero monster. But yeah, pretty much the same old here, but the things you'll notice are things that have been cut. Pot of Prosperity is gone and Foolish is gone, because basically what I'm doing with the Evil Hero cards is makes the Foolish kind of redundant, because Evil Assault / Adusted Gold is sort of like Foolish, but you discard a card, but you get an extra body out of it. And I think that card is just a little bit better than Foolish, because Foolish by itself being a 1-card combo is not nearly as powerful as Evil Assault being as a 1-card combo, as well as there's just a lot of cards you want to discard. Actually, the discard of Evil Assault kind of helps a lot of the time. So I just decided to cut Foolish, and Pot was mostly because we didn't have a really good extender, and we wanted to fish for one of our good ones like Fusion Destiny or Ferris. But now that we have a good extender, we don't really need it anymore. So same old for here. We're still playing a very bare bones hero engine even now, because I still want to fit as many non-engine as possible. Now, because at the time of recording this, we don't have a ban list, and we don't know what the meta is going to look like. Don't take this too literally. This is just to show that you can still fit 12 pieces of non-engine in 43. You can move some cards around, but 12, it seems like a good number, and this is what I've been liking for right now. Obviously, this will change as the meta changes, but I just wanted to show that you can still fit 12 non-engine in 43. Next up for the extra deck, we have our Elemental Hero lineup. It's actually still the exact same. 2 Wake Up, 1 Sunrise, 1 Rage, 1 Wingman. Mostly just because we're still doing the same thing we were doing before. A lot of the combos are similar end goal. It's just that sometimes the way that you start off is a little bit different. So I'll talk about the second Wake Up a little bit, and when we get to the side deck, why it might not be necessary. But for now, we're still playing the same Elemental Hero lineup. 1 Dark Law. Basically, you pick between second Dark Law and Dystopia, which, spoiler, I'm playing Dystopia. And that's mostly because if you watch my first combo video, when you open Stratos plus any hero monster plus Fusion Destiny, it's still important to really convert that Fusion Destiny to being extra power to your board instead of having a dead card in hand. So we're just on the 1 Dark Law because I'm playing the other option instead. So yeah, playing the 1 Dystopia and the 1 DPE. Don't really need to talk about these. Already kind of explained why we're playing Dystopia now. And next up for the Evil Hero fusions, I'm playing the 1 Malicious Bane and the 1 Inferno Wing. So if you see my main deck, you can realize that we can't access these game 1. But spoiler, in the side deck, we have a way to access these. So game 1, you're playing with a 13 card extra deck, which is kind of awkward and seems kind of weird, but I'll get to it in a second. But basically, there's no Neos Lord, as you can see. So the reason for that is that Inferno Wing is going to be the monster you go into when you go first. Malicious Bane being the card that you go to when you go second, because I think Bane is probably a little bit better than Neos Lord when you go second, just because of the high impact it can have. So Neos Lord is somewhere kind of in the middle, where he's like pretty good going first, pretty good going second. But since the fusion spell isn't in the main deck, there's no reason to play a card that's kind of in between. You can summon Neos Lord off a favorite contact, but I'm also playing Dystopia for that same reason, as well as being able to summon Dystopia if you open Stratos any hero plus Fusion Destiny and on Neos Lord instead. It's just a little bit more awkward, and I think the pop is just as fine as the take. But yeah, so we're playing these two, and that's why there's no Neos Lord at the moment. But I will explain how that can change. So next we're playing 2 Cross Crusader, 2 Wonder Driver, and 1 Infernal Devicer. Same thing for Infernal Devicer, same old, 2 Cross is still important. So the reason why we're playing 2 Wonder Driver is the fact that the Prisma Retrain is actually a rock monster. So when you open only Evil Assault, you actually need to use the second Wonder Driver to bridge to Cross Crusader from a rock and a warrior. So basically, if you don't know what I'm talking about, again, go watch my combo video for the full combo. But basically what you do is you go Evil Assault, pitch any card, summon the Prisma Retrain. Prisma Retrain, dump some Mally, banish Mally, summon a copy, link those 2 into Wonder Driver, banish Mally, summon, and then you basically get to Cross Crusader without your normal summoning. And I think it's worth it for the second Wonder Driver. It's also really good just for follow-up if your first one gets outed. Just having another way to fusion summon later in the game can be really, really nice. And you don't really have to like tiptoe around keeping Wonder Driver on the field for your turn 2 to turn 3. If he gets outed, it's fine, you have another copy. So this is going to be the Link monsters, and that is the extra deck. Finally, for the side deck, this is going to be where we talk about the rest of the Evil Hero support. The first 3 cards in the side deck are going to be the one Sinister Necrom, the one Dark Contact, and the one Dark Supremacy. A lot of you might be thinking, like, why would you side deck these cards and not main deck these cards? My philosophy, like I was talking about earlier, is the fact that I wanted to play as much non-engine as possible, cut as much fluff as possible, and just have the most streamlined deck for going first or second game one. And these cards are really good, but they're really just extra fluff. Obviously, the Dark Supremacy is only good when you go first. Dark Contact's a good card going first and second. The problem is that it can be kind of bricky, and the Necrom's the best card on its own, because if you open Ferris plus Necrom, it's like opening Ferris plus Malicious. But again, it wasn't necessary, and I really wanted to make it so that my main deck was as streamlined as possible. You're gonna see that there's no Hell Rider, there's no Super Poly, there's no Toxic Bubble, and no Dark Fusion. It's mostly just that those cards are good, but again, this accomplishes the same thing as the big package, but with less cards. It's a little bit less explosive, but being able to condense that entire package just down to these 3 cards just seems to be so much better to me. Basically, game 1, you're gonna play the deck as normal. Game 2, you're gonna side in whatever you want plus the Dark Contact to go into Bane. And then game 3, you're gonna take out, for example, the 3 Fulawas for this package for when you go first, because basically if you play the Inferno Wing in the extra deck, you play the Adusted Gold, you're able to get to the trap and make it live just by putting these 3 cards into the deck. So now this kind of ties back into why we're playing the 2-in-2 ratio of Adusted and Evil Assault. This is because you need to leave Adusted Gold's effect live to get to the trap card. It's a little bit conflicting because you want more hero names, but that's why I found that the 2-in-2 ratio is good. If you can hold the Adusted Gold's effect, great, because it's a hero name and it lets you combo that way. But if you need to use the Adusted Gold effect to grab Evil Assault, you just cut off your access to the trap card. And generally, if you have to do that, it means that you either didn't open another starter and you probably couldn't get to the trap anyway, or you got stopped and you again weren't probably getting to the trap anyway. So yeah, this has been a great package in the side deck. Some people might think, why wouldn't you just main the one Dark Contact and the Necrom? Again, I just wanted to play as much non-engine as possible and have cards in my deck that are good going first and second in the main deck. And even though this does do that, it requires you to add another card, and I just really wanted to streamline the deck as possible. If you're going just second, you can just play Dark Contact by itself. Going first, you need the Necrom for the Dark Contact, because both of the targets that are good going first, which is the Neos Lord and the Inferno Wing, it requires you to have either a monster on the field. You need to use the Prisma pretty much for both, just the way that the combo plays out. You need access to the Prisma, and with you needing to use Adusted Gold to grab Dark Contact, you need to play Necrom to access Prisma through the Vision Hero line. So that's the reason why these cards in the side deck. I'm really liking these in the side deck. Like I said, Dark Contact is good going second on its own, because you can use the gold that you pitch to search Dark Contact and a Malicious or a Ferris, for example, to just summon the Bane that way. And you don't really have to worry about getting access to Necrom, because Bane doesn't have the same fusion requirements as the Neos Lord and the Inferno Wing. So yeah, I just wanted to show, basically, this is the package in the side deck, because again, the trap in the main is great, and it feels so good when you can get to it. But in the format that we're in right now, it seems like we're in a super heavy hand trap format, and we won't get to it very often anyway. So I'd rather just have enough non-engine in my main deck, because that's really what you're going to be doing here, is trading these cards for non-engine. So yeah, so this has just been the best way to play it to me. And then I just wanted to show, again, don't take too many of this too literally. I just wanted to show that now you still have the 12 other slots for any other cards you'd like to side. The last thing I'll mention is that Thrust actually gets a lot better in the main deck. If you play the Neos Lord, which is a big reason to play Neos Lord, you can actually favorite contact for Neos Lord. So what you can do is you can Thrust for favorite contact, summon the Infernal Devicer, and then basically with having a normal trap in your deck that is good to set, because we don't really have a good target like that, where Infernal Devicer plus the Neos in the hand that you search off of it, and then you Thrust for the favorite contact, lets you end on the Neos Lord, which isn't that bad for being able to convert the bodies into a pretty good disruption, especially because you use Neos. It's really hard to out the Neos Lord because he can't be bounced, he can't be destroyed by battle or card effect, and he has the trigger to take a monster your opponent controls. But yeah, that's the list. Things are going to change. I know this was a long video, but I feel like there's a lot to talk about with my recent discoveries with the new support. I appreciate you guys for sticking around for the in-depth discussion on what I've been doing with the new Evil Hero support. I really appreciate all of you for watching. My next video is going to be another combo guide with the Evil Hero support. So let me know what you guys want to see down in the comments. I have the last video, but it's all dueling book replays. That's not as fun to watch. So let me know in the comments what kind of combos that y'all want to see with actual physical TCG/OCG cards. So yeah, stay tuned for the next video, and peace.